Grand Rising, loved ones. Welcome back to another episode of Healing Wisdom with me, your favorite spiritual advisor, Empress Oracle. So today, it was just Valentine's Day, right? So I'm going to help you guys out and we're going to talk about how to tell if they're the one. A lot of people really, you meet people and every relationship they get in, they're like, oh my God, I think this is the one. That's because people love to move so fast nowadays. First of all, the world was not built in a day. Sorry to tell you. I don't know if a lot of people believe in the Bible or have read the Bible, but if it took God 7 days to build the world, it's definitely going to take more than that for you to know if somebody's the one or not. And what I'm realizing is, I realized this when I was younger as well. I was guilty of this too. I used to be one of those people who every relationship I felt like I was in love, like they were the one. But as I got older and I matured and I started paying attention, after so many heartbreaks, you start taking a step back and looking and saying, well, what am I doing wrong? And a part of growth and maturity is realizing certain things, these red flags that tend to look like six flags when you want somebody to be the one, when you're just ready, to settle down. And a lot of times we haven't even lived long enough to even say that we're truly ready. It's just we get tired of certain times in our lives when we have those plateaus where everything is just going slow and steady, and we just like, okay, we're ready to settle down. So we tend to ignore the signs that people give off, letting us know that they're not the one. And I'm going to tell you, there is somebody out there for everybody. However, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is not the one for you. So here I am going to give you guys this lesson on how you can know when you're involved with somebody, how you can pay attention to certain red flags that people have a tendency to gloss over, look over, minimalize, and then as they go further on into the relationship, those end up being the deal breakers. These are some of the things that you should look out for when you're in a relationship in order to tell if that person may or may not be the one for you. Okay? First of all, a lot of times people confuse lust with love, right? And they end up in situations that are more harmful than helpful. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you the difference between lust and love. Lust is something that comes hot, strong, heavy. It can have a lot of passion in it. Now, passion can be in love, yes, but passion is one of the first telltale symptoms of a lustful relationship. And a lot of times, because a lot of people are not used to having a love outside of the love of their friends or their families, or platonic love, they're not used to that. So it comes so hard and so strong and so passionately, especially when you involve sex early on into a relationship, that a lot of people confuse that for love. Now, love is not something that is a physical thing. I'm going to tell you that right now, because love sees no color. It sees no genitalia. Okay? It doesn't see any of those things that tend to be more involved with lust. Lust tends to be more, sex based. It tends to be more with your lower regions, your lower chakras. Those are the ones that tend to get flared up more when it comes to lust. All right? The best way to know if you are truly in love with somebody is to take sex out of the equation of the relationship. At least, I know a lot of people have that 90-day rule, but it's a 90-day rule for a reason. If you take sex out of the equation, and I'm not just talking about, regular old vanilla vaginal sex. I'm talking about anal sex. I'm talking about oral sex. I'm talking about any type of sexual activity. Take that out of a relationship and take the time to get to know that person. Because 9 times out of 10, if you take sex out of a relationship and you build it off of friendship first, half of those people that you would have gotten involved with would end up just being friends, because then you would realize that you're not truly compatible with that person. But a lot of times, because we are people who tend to go off of our senses, our 5 senses, taste, touch, smell, and especially the way people look. physical attraction, a lot of times lust will be the first feeling that will flare up in us, and we can tend to get carried away. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're human, we have needs, and that is totally normal. But if you do not know how to control that, or if you cannot tell the difference, or if you are inexperienced in relationships, a lot of times that'll get you fucked up. A lot of times people, because they fall in love with people's outer shells without getting to know who that person truly is, getting to realize if that person truly has substance, they hop into relationships with people, they hop into the bed with people, and they say, okay, this is my end all, cure all, this is my forever. And then they go and they make a baby with this person, and then they realize they don't even like this motherfucker. So now you got a child that's half of something you don't like. Okay? And then where does that, and then that's how a lot of people end up with baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, because they didn't take the time to get to know the person. You have to cut through the fog of the lust in order to build up love. Love is something that takes time to build. Love is something that is unconditional. Love is something that is never goes away through the good or the bad. You might not even like the person, but you can love them, okay? That's something that people need to realize, and that is deeper and past lust. But because we are in this day and age where everybody goes off of aesthetics and they go off of material things and what people can do for them, they don't even get time to scratch the surface of people and to see what type of substance they're really and truly made of. And that is putting us at a disadvantage, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, non-binaries, whatever you want to call yourself. So that is something that we really need to work on so that we can go further and we can build relationships off of love and trust and honesty. Okay? And those are things that when lust is involved may go out the window, because people are going to tell you what they feel like you want to hear in order to get what they want, especially when lust is involved. If the person does not match your ambition physically, not just verbally, they are not the one for you. And when I say match your ambition physically, I'm not just talking about body goals. I'm not just talking about, okay, you like to work out, that person likes to work out as well. No, it goes deeper than that. When I say if that person does not match your ambition physically, okay, what I mean by that is if you know that you have a 5-year plan, if you cannot ask that person, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and they can't tell you something solid, concrete, that sounds reasonably attainable because they are working towards it, and if they cannot show you any progress, that doesn't mean they have to up and enroll to Harvard the next day. But if you don't see them physically working towards those goals that they're telling you, then they're just blowing smoke up your ass to get what they want. And a lot of times that gets a lot of young ladies as well, because I used to fall for potential like a motherfucker, okay? And then as I got older, as I would get into the relationship, I would see that I would be the only person physically pursuing those goals that we spoke about. And, a lot of people, they love to engage in the pillow talk and the dreams and exchange dreams and goals and share that in a relationship. And that is healthy. And that is what you should do as a part of a healthy and normal relationship. However, if you see that that person is not physically making any efforts towards those goals, okay, a little bit goes a long way, bit by bit, all right? Because the race is not for the swift. That's definitely for sure. However, every day you should be pursuing things to better yourself. Not just internally, not just mentally, but physically as well. So if they say they have goals, dreams, and aspirations, there should be no reason why they're not physically working toward those in a tangible way that you, as their counterpart, can see and support. That also is a part of love as well. And that's how you can tell somebody's the one for you, because a lot of times people tend to get involved in relationships with people full of potential, okay? And they like to share those dreams. And then one person will outgrow the other because one person is actively pursuing those dreams and goals while the other one is just chilling or waiting for that person to be successful so that they can ride on their coattails. And that is an unbalanced relationship, and it will never last in the long run, okay? Because once you outgrow somebody and once you get to where you want to be, that person is not going to look the same to you. They're not. I mean, love is unconditional, yes. but you can't outgrow people, especially when one person is more productive than the other. And that is how you know that somebody is not the one. Both of you should be each other's cheerleaders, and both of you should be in active pursuit of your dreams and goals. All right? They should mesh and they should flow together in order to have a productive and harmonious life. You have to think in the long term. A lot of times people, they're getting into relationships and they're only looking at the now. They're not thinking long term. And that's something that is very important. Now, we never know what's going to happen in the future in the long term. But as long as you are trying, as long as you are working towards it, God, spirit, source, universe, divine will always make a way. There is a saying, faith without works is dead. So it's okay for you to dream. It's okay for you and your person to have your dreams, but you guys also have to work for it, study and show yourselves approved so that you can achieve those goals together and apart. That is very important for you guys to remember. Actions always speak louder than words. And a lot of times people have a tendency to trauma bond. I know you guys have heard that saying before, with people when they are emotionally vulnerable. That should be a red flag. That tends to go unnoticed until it's too late. And that is very, very true, because that's just human nature. People tend to become closer through their trial, their tribulation, their struggles. And there's nothing wrong with that, because, everybody needs a good support system. But sometimes certain things that you go through for a reason, and you're supposed to go through them alone because they're supposed to build you and make you better. Certain situations that people have a tendency to trauma bond with others with are situations that end up holding them back in the relationship, because you may be a healer, you may be a person who knows how to learn from your trauma, learn from your pain, build and evolve, and that other person may be comfortable in that trauma. That's why, when you meet somebody, for example, I know you guys have heard the stories of people finding love at Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or in the nut house or some shit like that. And what ends up happening in those relationships? Those relationships end up being tumultuous, dangerous, life-threatening, and 9 times out of 10, both of those people, they fall off the wagon of recovery because they trauma bonded. It is not healthy to get into a relationship first and foremost when you are fresh out of a trauma or when you are going through a trauma. People, we need to give ourselves time to heal. Healing is everything, and healing is important. And trauma bonding in relationships is a massive, massive red flag of what is to come in your relationship. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Point blank, period. I have trauma bonded in relationships. So I'm telling you, I've trauma bonded in a relationship, and I took the steps to actively heal while my counterpart was comfortable in that trauma, because they figured if they did not heal, then, they would always be taken care of. They would always be looked at a certain way. And they felt like if they did heal, what else would they have going for themselves? Because they made their whole life around that trauma. They built their whole life around that trauma. So that's something that you have to look out for. That is a red flag that everybody needs to be cautious of. All right. It's time to stop trauma bonding. It's time for us to do our part and do some active healing so that we can find healed people, because like attracts like. So if you are unhealed, you are always going to attract unhealed, hurt people. And that saying that I love to say, hurt people hurt people. So let's heal, guys, and let's stop the trauma bonding, okay? Okay? Okay. When you are at your lowest or at your worst, that is not the time, as I said, to enter into a relationship, because you are not in your right state of mind as well. And your perception will change. And that's another thing that I was saying besides the trauma bonding. When you've gone through something traumatic, your mind is not right. Even if you come out of it unscathed, okay? Even if you come out of it still in one piece, you still have other traumas and other things that need to be healed. And a lot of times, because we are resilient as humans, thank God we are resilient, but a lot of times, especially in African American culture, which I'm speaking of because that's what I am, we tend to bury these issues and stuff. Our mind is not right. That's why a lot of people go from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship to another relationship, and it's always the same shit, different toilet, because they haven't properly healed. In their mind, they still have that trauma from that past relationship. So they're going to take those issues into the next relationship. And then that person is going to feel like they're walking on eggshells because you have not mentally, psychologically healed those issues. So you still have that paranoia and that fear that things are going to happen to you the same way they did before. That's why, as I said before, it is very important to heal. If you're working to better yourself emotionally, mentally, and physically, and your person constantly throws in your face or reminds you of them being there for you at your lowest, they are not the one. They're not the one. Okay, that is a form of mental entrapment. That's also a form of narcissism, right? And that's also a telltale sign that somebody is a sociopath, because they're preying on you in order to hurt you by bringing up these hurtful situations, these traumatic times, these pasts that you're trying to heal from. That's prohibiting you from healing, okay? And they are intimidated by your effort and your progress. And that's something that we need to be aware of. That's why it is important for us to do those healing exercises. It's important for us to take that time. It's important for us to get to know who exactly we're being involved in. Some people like to recycle old thoughts, old feelings, old traumas and stuff because they don't have shit else to do. They're not focused on progression. But if you know that that's not you, then and you know that the person that you are with, once they bring up something from the past once, you can tell them like, hey, I don't appreciate you throwing that in my face. I thought we were over this and X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. If they truly love you, they should respect that, and they should be able to either sit down and talk it out so that whatever leftover ill feelings they have about it, they can get it out the way, and it should be no more. That should be a moot point. It should never be brought up again. Somebody who constantly wants to throw old hurts into your face, whether they know it or not, consciously or subconsciously, they are trying to cause you pain or trauma. They don't want you to heal because they feel as though if you heal, you may leave them. You may outgrow them. That's why it's important not to trauma bond in relationships. If you're working to improve yourself and during moments of weakness, they encourage or they co-sign with your relapse, or they're not even trying to tell you like, hey, no, that's not what you need to do. They're an enabler, and they don't want to see you at your best. And that's how you know that somebody is not the one. And that can be in anything, okay? That can be anything. That could be if you have a food issue, if you have a drug issue, you have an alcohol issue, anything. If you dealing with narcissistic family or friends, a toxic work environment or anything, and they encourage you to go back to that, or if they see you struggling, straddling the line, tottering on the fence, whatever the fuck the word is, all right, they see you straddling the fence and they're not there as a motivational support telling you, hey, you could do this, you don't need to do this or whatever. If they're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, one time won't hurt, knowing you just had a drug addiction, knowing you just got out of rehab 6 months ago, and they tell you, yeah, just hit the blunt one time, they're not for you. And that goes not just for personal relationships, that goes for friendships as well, because there's so many people who are given a second chance to come out into society and better themselves, and they go back around the same fucking people, and those might not be the people that you got locked up with, but they got the same bad habits that got you fucked up. And because it's okay for them, they feel like it's okay for you. They're not for you. They are not for you. People who truly love you will always want better for you. Okay, they will always want you to be your best self. And that's something very important. Stop being around enablers. A lot of times, though, people who are unhealed, they like to surround themselves around enablers because then they don't have anything to live up to. They're not being held to a standard that they need to be held to in order to evolve to be their best selves. And that's something that we need to pay attention and take heed to as well, people. It's not just on the other person, it's on you as well. Someone who truly loves you will give you tough love when you really need it, okay? And they will push you. Okay, my bad. Let's start that over again. Someone who truly loves you will give you tough love when you really need it by pushing you and depriving you of what is not good for you, period. They will tell you no. If you are not strong enough They will be there and they will be your conscience for you. Whether you get mad and you curse them out or whatever, they will give you that tough love, because that's what true love is. True love is not giving in to somebody in a time of weakness or just because you don't want to hurt their feelings or make them mad. True love is, you know, that they might not be strong enough to deal with, you know what I'm saying, those demons, those monkeys on their back and stuff. And you have to be the one, you have to be the voice of reason and tell them no. That's how you know somebody is the one for you. Okay, that's how you know somebody is really there in your corner, whether it's a friend, a family member, a significant other. That's how you know that they're truly down and there for you, because they're going to give you that tough love when they need it. And you should also give that in return, guys. Let's not be selfish. It's not just about us, all right? Each one teach one. We have to have each other's back, because that is an issue going on in society today. We don't have each other's back appropriately. We got to do more. We got to do better. Somebody who really loves you will not throw the bad times or moments of weakness in your face. Instead, they will constantly push you to be better, because what's understood does not need to be explained or not need to be brought up over and over again, especially when they see you working, especially when they see you trying, because bringing it back up, all it's doing, that's like pouring salt in the wound. That's like every time your scar starts healing up, it's scabbing over, you pick it over and it's a fresh wound, starts bleeding again, it might get infected. Who wants the infection? That's something you need to think about, and look at the people who are around you and think about these things that I pointed out. And that's how you'll be able to tell if they're the ones for you or not. Okay, guys? With that being said, be safe and have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day. And I love you all, okay?